Okay, this is going to be a walk down memory lane for myself and for my guest, Yvette. My first question for you, Yvette, what was crazier, going to a school for Hollywood kids or working with Rick James?
Definitely working with Rick James. I think you can agree with that, right?
Absolutely. I don't think geography is going to have, light a candle to what Rick James can do.
Exactly. Never a dull moment.
From the heart of Hollywood, it's the Patrick LabyorShoaux with Patrick Labyorteaux.
It's the Patrick LabyorShoaux. Patrick Labyorteaux. He's the one you gotta know.
Tonight's episode of Yvette Barlowe.
Patrick LabyorShoaux. He's the one you gotta know.
You know her as a member of the Mary Jane Girls. I know her as a fellow student at Valley Professional School. Please welcome the amazing Yvette Barlowe. How are you, Yvette?
I'm great. It's so good to see you.
Okay, so just so everyone can play along, Yvette and I, while we look like we're pals and chums, we haven't seen each other in years, a lot of years.
40-something years, yeah.
Right. Yvette has many pictures in her attic along with the vials of the substance. That's why she looks like she does, and I look like I do.
Oh, my God. Hilarious. Yeah, you honestly look the same. It's crazy. You didn't age. I mean, yeah, the hair color's a little different, but otherwise, You're the same guy.
Well, I appreciate that. So when we went to school together, we went to this place called, it had like 3 names, right? There was Cambridge Prep, Valley Professional School, and then something else. And I'm going to explain a little bit of this before we get started, just so people can kind of understand. In California, kids who work in the industry, the minimum amount of schooling that they need is 3 hours on the set, right? So usually what happens is a kid goes to a normal school the rest of the year, then they go to the set, and then they only get 3 hours of school. Like that's, math and science and English and history. There's no electives. Well, this one school, Valley Professional, and there was a Hollywood school and some other ones, what they figured was, okay, well, let's just offer the core curriculum for kids who are working in the business so that when they're not on set, they have extra time during the day for auditions and interviews and everything. So we would all get in our cars and drive to the luxurious Woodland Hills. And our school was between a deli and a tax preparer's place in this strip mall. It was just the jankiest little like pod mall you've ever seen. And in this school was myself, my brother, as I've spoken about before, Jason Bateman, Alfonso Ribeiro, Janet Jackson, Corey Feldman, like a lot of kids, including Yvette. And so we also had, which was the weirdest part of this weird part, ice skaters.
Yes.
Because ice skaters need what they call patch time. They would go and skate from like 4 to 7 in the morning, and they get a patches of ice on the ice rink. And then in the afternoon, they would skate. So like Brian Boitano and all these kids would go to this school so they could skate around it. I know I'm talking a lot, but I just wanted to explain all of that. So Yvette, how did you find Valley Professional School, and why were you going there? What was that all about?
So I had finished 8 years of Catholic school in Sherman Oaks, and 8th grade was let out. I was supposed to go to Corvallis, which was an all-girls Catholic school, but somehow I got word that there was a professional school where you only had to go for 3 hours a day, and then you could devote your time to pursuing whatever it was, like you said, ice skating or auditioning and all this. At that time, I thought, I want to devote my time to getting into commercials and reading and doing workshops and all these kinds of things. And so somehow I talked my dad into going to this school, which, like you said, it was very bare bones, janky looking. Yep. When I went there, when I first started there, it was in a house on Woodman.
That's right. You're right.
Do you remember
I
that?
started there as well. So we went to school together for a number of years. It was literally just a bombed out old house on Woodman before they moved to the new, what do they call it? The new campus.
The new campus, which was, very luxurious, like you said, in a strip mall next to, a Tax and, deli. What a mess. But somehow I talked my father into going to this school.
Act 1, beginnings. Here's the great thing. Yvette and I went to school together. We're friends in the sense that we were friends when we were kids, and here we are. But I don't know too much about your history. Is it your family in the business? Why did you find the business?
Yeah. So my mother was a singer. She's a retired singer now, but in the 70s and 80s, she was doing background for a lot of people like Donna Summer, Olivia Newton-John, toured with Anne Margaret, and she did all the pop people of that era. She was singing background for, and then she jumped on the disco train, and she made disco records. She had a couple of disco records in the late 70s, and so from that, I just automatically, I was already watching her rehearse. I was already watching her prepare for tours, and I just grew up with it. So that is my sort of segue into me being interested in working. It was really because my mom was my example.
That totally makes sense, especially, again, when you end up in this business. There's some sort of connection for kids. Outside of Robbie Rist, who's another actor kid, outside of Robbie, who literally went to his parents at 4 years old and told them he's going to be an actor, that he wanted to do that. There's always, and his parents had no connection. There's always something in the house that kind of brings it about, or people that you're hanging out with. When you mentioned Sherman Oaks, which is, I never lived directly in Sherman Oaks, but I was always a Valley kid. We were in Northridge, but we also lived up in Beverly Glen when we were kids. So it's like Sherman Oaks is this great area, but it's filled with industry people. So growing up, were any of your friends outside of school like in the business, or any of that, or just regular non-coms?
Regular folks, but there were a few people that that parents were like. I went to school with, it was Glenn Campbell's son, Travis.
Okay.
So we had that in common. His dad was obviously Glenn Campbell, and Travis was at rehearsals at times, or knowing what the road life was like. So we had that in common. But no, my friends were just kind of regular folk. No real industry.
So you end up at this school then. If so, you don't have any industry like kind of connections from your friends, like at your age, and you end up at this school. What was that like for you? Was that weird and wild when you first got there?
Yeah, it was a little weird because, I was awkward. I didn't know anyone. And I had been with my Catholic school friends for 8 years. We had grown up together, and here I was stepping into this whole other world, and I didn't know anyone. And it was a weird sort of selection of people because there were different age groups, right? We were in the same class with like 5th graders, and then there would be a 11th grader, and we were all doing our work at the same time, but different levels. It was a very strange, eclectic.
Which is the way when you go to set school, when you're on set, it's like all the kids get 1 or 2 teachers. I think one teacher can do 10 kids. So if you got a lot of kids, and maybe you have more than one teacher, but you have one room and one teacher, and that's kind of what these schools were like. So like you're saying, it would be young kids versus someone trying to get out of their get their GED, at 16.
Exactly, 100%. And really, when I look back now, that was homeschooling. Basically, that was like what today we call homeschooling. That was really homeschooling under the guise of it being a professional school.
Right. It was supervision of us doing homework, basically.
Right, basically. You're right. I realized it was the worst decision I could have made because I'm the type that needed to have structure and be told what to do and how to do it. And And at that school, it was more if you needed to be self-motivated and you needed to kind of on your own do your studies, turn it in. It gave me too much freedom.
When did you complete your schooling there or complete somewhere else?
No, I think by the end of 11th, that's when I left. It just seemed like a waste of money to go there, and there was nothing I was getting out of it, and I wasn't auditioning enough to really, so I just thought, no, it's time for the exit exam. It's time. Let me just do what everyone does. We do the GED and move on.
Well, you mentioned, the touring that you did. Let's get into your career here. So you start this to get into kind of like showbiz, basically. What was your first kind of experience, like through commercials or singing, or what were the things that began to create a career for you?
Yeah, so my first professional paid job was singing a jingle for Creative Playthings, which was a toy company, I believe, back in the day. And I remember getting the check, and I looked at the check and I went, oh, I like this kind of work. I need to keep doing this. So I was about, I think it was 10 or 11. I started with that and then went on to a youth choir, which was trained for studio work, trained for on TV appearances, trained for film scores. And I worked with those group of kids for a few years, and we had a blast. We did an episode of Taxi, and we did
cool.
Yeah, isn't that cool? The Barry Manilow special, and we sang on Rocky.
So when you do Taxi, or the Barry Manilow, what you're saying is they hire the choir shows up as a choir, and you're performing on the stage type of thing with these with Barry Manilow or with.
Yeah, so with Barry Manilow in particular, we were like the kids that come out and we're kind of flanked around him and we're singing, and then the next scene is we're in choir robes and singing his song One Voice. So there's that moment. But then on the TV show Taxi, I think it was a winter scene, so we're all bundled up and we're like kids huddled around, and then we break out into some sort of, I think, song or something. So they put us in there was different scenarios for every job.
So how old were you when you sang with Barry Manilow?
I think I was 13 or 14. So it was around the time that I was at school with you, like Valley Professional years. Mm-hmm.
Well, for sure, because Taxi shot across the street from us over at Paramount. When we were doing Little House there. Yeah. So it was at that period of time. So you're starting to pick this up. Obviously you would know this. Richard Marx, the guy who's got this, he's a great singer, songwriter. He started off singing jingles because. Oh, well, then you really know. So his mom and dad wrote a ton of jingles.
Yes.
And he sang on a ton of jingles, right?
Yeah, absolutely. His mother, she sang one of my favorite jingles, which was, "Ask any mermaid you happen to see, what's the best tuna chicken of the sea?" Something like that. And
something like that. That's beautiful.
Oh my God, I can't hear myself. It's probably all over the place. But yeah, Richard's family just like the jingle king of, I believe, Chicago. So
had you known Richard then, or did it just sort of like as life goes on, you roll into these different jobs and you meet different people?
I only met Richard 4 years ago or 3 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we met in Switzerland at this.
As one does.
as one should. In Montreux, we music people. So we're kind of new friends, but he and his lovely wife, Daisy, we've become, I consider them good friends.
I was such a huge fan of his music. Still am, but it's just sort of like you could tell that he came out so professional. And again, that's why I have a lot of respect for people like yourself and Richard, where there's a guy, I don't know if you remember him. I don't think he went to our school. A kid named Brian Mancini.
I
who
guess.
went by the name of Brian Scott. Do you know? Okay, so Brian, his dad owned Magnolia Studios down in the valley, and he was all into. He was the guy telling me about Tommy Tedesco and about Steve Lukather and about all these guys that were these studio musicians that are the best musicians ever. He was the guy that told me about the Wrecking Crew and who they were and what they were all about and doing. And it was like I was always fascinated by the super professional people in music, because I'm one of those people that love music but I don't have rhythm. I can't play an instrument. I've tried, but I love it. And so when I listen, I'm like always amazed at what people can do. So let me get out of my head. You're doing this thing with the choir, and
Right.
then how does it grow from there?
So I age out, all of us aged out of that choir sort of movement because, we're teenagers now and we weren't getting the calls. So I started...
Menudo style, you're out.
Yeah, you're out. You're out. You guys are too old at 14. So I end up doing the hustle like we all did, trying to find an agent. So back then it was Jack Wormser and it was Mary Grady, and I finally got... I think I got represented by Mary Grady. And the thing about...
Fantastic kid agent.
Yeah, really, really great. But here's the problem I had was that back in the 70s and 80s, casting was very different than what it is today. I was a hard person to put into a category. Because
Right.
back then it was like, okay, we need a black person between the ages of 10, 12. We need an Asian, blah, blah, blah. We need Hispanic. And you had to be very specific. Today's world,
Right.
It looks like it's more, like you can be a little more diverse and ambiguous looking. Back then, I just didn't get the calls very often unless they needed a token, ethnic girl for something. So it wasn't a lot.
Right. I remember that term too, ethnic. It would be like ethnic. There'd be black girl, white girl, Chinese, whatever it was, but it was always very specific. While we're
Right.
here, which I've never thought about, but we're talking about it. What is your breakdown? What do you? I'm German and Irish, so I'm about as white as it gets.
You're pretty white, I have to say. My color
No
wheel
pigment.
no pigment. You have no melanin.
Exactly.
Well, I have to say, when I did my DNA ancestry, I don't know if you've seen what the color wheel looks like. My color wheel is sort of like it's a rainbow. So I've got
Okay.
20. I've got like 25% African. Then I've got 55% European, and it breaks down to like Spanish, Portuguese, a little Italian, and then I have
Right.
15% Indigenous Americas, and I've got and then there's a lot of English blood, and then like a trace amount of a place called Myanmar, which I believe was Burma, like a trace, like 0.3
Southeast Asian, yeah.
Yes, so I'm just all over the place. And that it makes sense why it was
So
hard
you
to
literally, you literally fell between the cracks, because in the 70s or 80s, in that period of time, it absolutely was black girl,
right,
white girl.
That's
and
right.
then in the middle, there was no name. There was no nothing. It was just like, like you say, ethnic. It's like, well, is she
Ethnic.
Spanish? Is she, yeah.
right, ethnic.
So you were
or
having,
ambiguous.
they didn't know, ambiguous. So they didn't know where to put you in the, have a Coke and a Smile ad. And so
Exactly.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, it was kind of,
So-
it was, let's put it this way. I was getting discouraged with that. So,
Yeah.
but I did manage to do a few commercials, two in particular with a friend of mine named Leonard. We managed to book a Burger King and a Coke commercial. We had so much fun
Nice.
it was great. We had so much fun. And Leonard used to sit at the table during breaks or whatever, and he would sing, and he would pound on the table, and we'd sing together and all that. And Leonard turned out to be Lenny Kravitz, who we know as Lenny Kravitz today.
You got me on that one. I'm like, oh, who's this Leonard dude? Oh my gosh. And Leonard's also, his mom is black, I think, and his dad is white, or
Yeah.
right. So it's
Absolutely.
like he kind of fell into the cracks as well. And
He
before you're
did.
Lenny Kravitz, you have to make up a Lenny Kravitz to be a Lenny Kravitz. Wasn't
Right.
he Romeo Blue for a while?
I believe he was Romeo Blue, but when I knew him doing these commercials, he was so preppy. He wore the preppiest clothes. His hair was short, and he just looked like this clean-cut kid. And then
Right.
years later, for this Romeo Blue and then Lenny Kravitz, I just, my mouth just fell to the ground. So
That's funny. If you don't know, his mom is Roxy Rooker from the Jeffersons, I think was it, and his dad was Mr. Kravitz, I guess. I don't
That's
know.
right.
I don't know the story.
Yeah, Cy Kravitz.
Exactly. Cy Kravitz. Exactly.
That's
Could
it.
it be more Kravitzy than Cy Kravitz?
Exactly.
So was he the entry into the music? Because obviously he's a great musician, but it wasn't like, I don't know if he was doing anything at that point that was music. He may have been doing it by himself, but how'd you get into music?
Here's the thing. I don't think Leonard was doing music at that time. Leonard was he was focused on the commercial work, and maybe he was. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't want to misspeak about that. But he did, weirdly enough, such a small world, he did hang out and live with a friend of mine being Tina Marie. And that was before he sort of blew up and made it big time. So he was already in the circle of music.
But we'll be back after these messages. Have you ever thought about becoming an actor and making your friends and family jealous? Well, have I got a deal for you. Here at Working Actors School, we offer many different classes so you can become a famous actor like me. And we have a delightful selection of classes, including Adult Weekly. It's every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific. Here you will learn how to be an actor with other adults. How do we do it? How is it possible? Is it a miracle? Yes, it is. A miracle called Zoom. We teach everything online so you can become a famous actor and impress your friends and family. So if you want to be a famous actor and make your friends and family jealous, then you need to sign up at Working Actors School. You can get a hold of us at workingactorschool.com. You can sign up for classes at workingactorschool.com. You can make a reservation for the class online at workingactorschool.com. So come check us out. It's workingactorschool.com. Act 2, Success. But how did you get to music? If it's not Lenny, if it's not that, where?
You know what? So the connections that I made from that youth group led me to singing demos for local writers. And so I just sort of kept with that. And but the weird thing is I went on this audition for a group called Shalimar. Do you remember Shalimar?
I remember the name. I don't remember the song, but I do remember they were a thing. Shalimar.
They were a thing, Shalimar. They were on Solar Records, and Jody Watley was the female singer.
That's it.
Yes.
I've got a new love, baby. Is that the one?
Yeah.
Yes.
That was her when she went solo.
Right, when she was Jody Watley.
Right. So Shalimar ended up looking for a replacement for Jody Watley. And so they held this sort of showcase, this kind of cattle call for girls in a certain age group, a certain look. They said, bring your cassette, come dressed to perform like you're going to go on stage. So I'm like, okay. So I get there, it's probably 50 girls. And I see a girl there that looks familiar. And I'm like, she's in the Mary Jane Girls. What's she doing here? So I talked to her, and she says, no, I've left the group. Well, that's all she needed to tell me. I was on the phone bright and early the next day, getting through to Rick James' office, and told them my story. I said, look, I know Rick's going to be auditioning girls soon because I know there's going to be a replacement. Get me through to him. And I was very tenacious back then. And I got through.
Well, I'm so sorry. Slow down. So, did you even audition for Shalimar?
So that was just a little. I call it, that was already, they already had chosen the girl before the audition. This was like a publicity stunt showcase. So yeah, I did audition. I did my little cassette tape thing. Every girl performed. But I did meet somebody that would then guide me to my next move, which was auditioning for Mary Jane Girls.
So you find Rick James again. This is like there's no.
I know it's crazy. I know
it's like a yellow. You're calling around. I don't know how did you find Rick? How did one find Rick James's phone number? Is it written in cocaine at Carlos and Charlie's? How is it?
Exactly. No. Here's the thing. Talk about like the world being small and synchronicity and timing. I called Motown Records. I get through to Rick's production office, and Rick calls me back. He remembers me because he's met my mother a few times. So he already has that. He sort of, he's putting it together. He remembers me. And then he's shocked as hell that word has gotten out that, he's going to be looking for a new girl for the group. So he's like, yeah, you want to audition? How old are you now? Are you 14? I said, no, I'm going to be 19. Oh, okay. He's like, well, you'll have to fly to Buffalo, New York and learn the material, hang out with the band, get to know everyone, and we'll see if this is a fit. He goes, because I'm not really sure you're ready for this yet. So that's how that all started.
Okay, I got to back up for me. I never found out. It's Yvette's mom is how I remember it. What is your mom's pro name? What did she record under?
So her name is Patty Brooks. And so Patty Brooks. So she did these, like I said, she did background for a few people and made a couple of disco records back in the day. And knew Rick.
So then she worked with Rick how?
She didn't work with him. Well, actually, no. Mom did sing on one of his records. She did. But they met each other, I think, at like either American Bandstand or passing each other at maybe Solid Gold when they were both doing those shows. And they became friendly. They knew each other.
Rick James is like a really great producer, and he created a lot of great music. And so is that... I mean... before you were part of the Mary Jane Girls, he created the Mary Jane Girls. Do you have any idea of what that story is so that we can just like set that up? Because I don't. I mean, where does that come from?
So the Mary Jane Girls concept group created by Rick, it was supposed to be 4 female extensions of his personality. That was sort of the concept. Cool. Yeah, that was the sort of concept of the group. So our lead singer, she had braids and sort of was like the tough street girl, which was supposed to mimic him. Then we had a girl that wore leather and chains, and she was blonde, and she was known as the Leather Queen. So that was like more of the sort of kind of punk, maybe dominatrix vibe. Then we had one girl that wore long dresses, and she'd put a feather boa on, and she was known as, I don't know, the classy sophisticate girl or something like that. And then there was me, the Valley girl, who I tried to make it more new wave, glam rock. I was trying to just make it a little edgier than the previous girl.
Right.
But yeah, that was Rick's vision. That was completely his vision.
Okay, so the Mary Jane Girls come out. They have the song, I think it was Our House. Was it the name of it?
Yeah, so In My House was...
In My House. In My House.
Mm-hmm. In My House was the second album. The first album had a song called All Night Long, which is still played to this day and sampled by everyone.
And so when you hear the Mary Jane Girls are going to be looking, you call Motown. Now that we're back up to the story. So you have to fly out to Buffalo. I guess maybe had you had an interaction with Rick James at this point, or just through your mom? You hadn't really met him yet. Had you met him?
Oh yeah, I had met him. I had known him since I was 13. I met him a few times. So he seemed like like a family friend. Yeah.
So you fly out to Buffalo, I'm imagining. What was the experience?
Well, I was a little worried. I thought, where am I staying? But I realized once I got there, I was picked up at the airport by his security people and taken way out in the boonies of like a rural part of Buffalo. But he had 2 homes on this large piece of property. And so I had my own quarters where I stayed. And then in his house, he had his studio that he had built, custom built, which was beautiful. At the time, it was really unique and all that. So yeah, I was there for about a week
So
and a
it
half.
was very similar. I mean, there was a lot of Midwest, like Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, Prince, all those guys in Minneapolis kind of did the same thing where they built the studios where they were at. So Rick James built one in where he was from, I guess.
Exactly.
Right? Is that kind of...
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And he had a lot of people come out there to record. Eddie Murphy recorded, I think, Party All the Time. I think he recorded that there. I think the Temptations may have done something there. There was quite a few people that recorded.
And so you're there kind of like what? Is a couple of days to hang out, record to see if the vibes are good or to check your voice out or what?
All of that. So it was all of that. And then also I was just left to be in this room with big old VHS tapes or Betamax, and I was watching all of the girls' videos and all of their interviews, and listening to Rick's music, the Stone City Band's music, and the girls. And I just sort of like had to do an immersion for several days with all of this, and then get acquainted with this very different type of group of people that I was suddenly around.
Not the San Fernando Valley for sure.
That is exactly right. And I had to like go, okay, these people are a little different. They've got some street smarts. I'm from a bubble in the valley, but it
you don't learn
fun.
The hard streets of Ventura Boulevard really don't get you ready.
Yeah, the mean streets of Sherman Oaks has a different vibe,
I knew every level of the original Galleria, and now it's all gone.
Exactly. Yeah.
So how long does this process go? You said a couple of days. What was it like?
Well, I was there a total of a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. And and he flew in some executives from Motown. He flew in those executives and they hung out for a couple of days. And I just listened to more music. And then I believe I sang background on one of Rick's songs or a few of them, and just did that as like a way for him to kind of hear where to place me. So Rick decides he wants to take a group of us to see Van Halen. Now this is in Buffalo, New York. So off we go to see Van Halen, have a great time, get back to his place, and a fair amount of partying going on, nothing major. He's smoking weed or whatever. And everyone leaves, and then Rick asks me, he says, do you want to see this movie? I've got this really cool film called The Hunger with David Bowie and Catherine Deneuve about vampires and things like that. So I think, okay. So I follow him into his bedroom. Naive 19-year-old me. But I mean, like I said, I've known Rick, so it's not that weird for me. So go into the bedroom.
Right.
He plops down on his bed, head to toe leather. He's got the boots on. He's got bracelets and gold and all that. And I take a seat on his couch in his bedroom. We start the movie. 5 minutes into the film, I hear a snore like I have never heard. I mean, a loud roar is going on. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm looking in back of me, and he's just like out of it. And the full leather's on and everything. So I think, well, okay, my time's up. Let me get to my room. Well, I start to get up, and then I go, wait a minute. If I leave and he wakes up and I'm not here, it looks rude. Maybe this is a rude thing to do, that I just leave. Oh, I gotta stay. I gotta wait for the movie to finish. So sit back down. I fell asleep. Fell asleep sitting up in Rick James' bedroom on a couch. I wake up at 6:30 in the morning. Birds are chirping, the sun's going through, and I think, okay, get to your room. So off I go. I'm about to walk out of his bedroom. I hear people in the kitchen, which means they're going to see me coming out of the bedroom. I don't want them thinking, what's she doing coming out of the bedroom?
This is during your audition period, kind of, right?
This is during that week and a half. Yes.
Oh, no.
So I was mortified, and I literally sat in that room for another probably 2 hours trying to think, how do I get out of here? How do I get out of here? I don't know what to do. I can't leave. And I was like, it's so shameful if I leave this room and they're going to see me. What must they think? And finally, you know what, Patrick? I had to do what they call the walk of shame. And I just had to, just say, oh, well. And out the door I went.
You should have done the old trick. You should have walked out backwards.
Yeah, you're right. I should have done that. Oh, my God. But I did. I walked out, and I saw his assistant, Linda, in the kitchen, and she just kind of was like, hey. And that was it. And by the end of my stay, he says, okay, I'm having contracts drawn up. Here's some money. Take this back. Here's some this. Okay, you'll be back here in July, because this was March. You'll be back here in June or July to record the record with the girls. And
wow.
And that was sort of, yeah.
Were you thrilled? I mean, that's got to be such a huge moment for you.
I was thrilled, but I was also thinking, God, I hope I fit this. You know, they seem like just because it was R&B, it was much more funkier than the music and the training I had come up on. So I was thinking, how is this going to work? So
had you met any of the other girls during this like camp rock thing that you did with Rick?
Yeah, so I left that part out. They showed up halfway through my stay, and we met, and that was an interesting moment because they were looking at me like, who is she?
Right.
And she's all of 18 going on 19, and they were already well into their 20s, I think maybe even early 30s. So they were looking at me like, what is this? So it took a while. Took a while for them to warm up.
You're being very kind. I can read through the kindness there. It sounds really difficult. I know the business where it's like, I can't even imagine how difficult that was. It sounds like they were nice. It sounds like you're being very good, but I'll say it must have been really tough. Especially at that young age. I mean, it's like, and plus girls. I mean, no offense, but like girls, just to begin with, are tough. Sometimes tougher than, you know, a guy may hit you, but then he's done.
Exactly.
Girls will keep coming after you.
It's brutal. Yeah.
So the plan was to go and record an album and then tour. Were you backing Rick up, or were you on your own tour? How was that worked?
Yeah, so we recorded the album called Only For You, which is the album that had In My House. So we recorded that, and then came time to do a video and promote. And we did a tour that was a very soft tour. We didn't do a tour for very long. There were so many factors of it being too expensive, and there were internal problems with Rick James and Motown Records by this point, that we were sort of catching the brunt of a lot of, you know, internal things. So we didn't get to tour in the way we should have, but we did all the shows like American
That's
Bandstand.
because just on a business level, the label fronts all of this stuff against the advances, which then would be to Rick, not to you, since it was his sub project that you're taking care of by Rick, but the company is paying him. So their battle would absolutely affect you because it's all subsidized by Rick.
That's it. You get it. That's it completely. And then Rick was having problems with them because he wasn't turning in his material for his next project. And Rick was also kind of, spiraling in a little bit of a way. And so, yeah, we were kind of the trickle-down effect of his problems with Motown.
Well, let me ask you this, because this podcast is not about salacious stuff or wanting to talk bad about anybody. But what was it like for when you see someone of Rick James' status? Obviously, he's your boss. He's famous. Was there a lot to deal with, or did you just? I mean, what am I trying to ask? Because I don't really want to hear any stories about how bad it was, or how bad, or whatever it was. But it must have been difficult for you and your other bandmates to have to deal with that.
Yeah, definitely there were some moments that were unpredictable because you didn't know which Rick you were getting sometimes. Were you getting, level-headed, creative Rick, or were you getting the angry, I'm going to go off on someone Rick and hear a lot of screaming and cursing? So you just kind of didn't know what was going to happen. For the most part, I thank God I only experienced more of the good side.
Well, let's talk about the good side, just because again, like I said, I'm a big fan of music. And when you get into the studio and you're putting together a band like yourself, I mean, you got all those 5 girls?
It was 4 girls. 4 girls with Rick James' band called the Stone City Band. But here's the thing. Rick was in complete control of everything having to do with this group. So we basically were like conveyor belt. I hate to say it. We sang what we were supposed to sing, but we didn't get the chance to really be creative on our own because it was a total Rick James.
No, but that's fine
creation.
because that's the job. The same thing that Prince did with practically, the Maseratis or whoever else he produced. I mean, he's just he had so much that he was writing. He just wanted someone else to record it.
Yeah.
The Time is another great example.
Exactly.
But what was he like to work with as far as as a musician yourself? What did you learn from Rick James? And I mean that in the most music way.
First of all, I am not a musician. I cannot take. I couldn't tell you where middle C is on the keyboard. Okay, that's how bad I am. I sing everything by ear. You can give me a part that I can figure out, but I don't play anything. But working with Rick, it was pretty brilliant because this guy would just sit down and come up with these great melodies and then start layering it with these great grooves. And when he was focused and in that frame of mind, it was brilliant.
So you record this album, you go on this soft tour. I love that the way you say that, because it kind of describes it. You kind of get it. It's sort of it kind of happened.
Yeah.
MTV's a big deal. I remember that being a big video for you guys and on MTV. And again, everyone's talking about how obviously MTV. It's when you consider about how many black performers are in music and how many black performers were on MTV. It was kind of ridiculous. But I remember it was a big deal.
Well, I don't know if you remember this, but MTV wouldn't play Rick James or Mary Jane Girls. Do you remember that controversy?
I just remember seeing it. No, I didn't know that. I saw it. I mean, where did I see it? I saw it all the time.
Well, it was probably VH1.
Okay.
Because Rick...
Was BET a thing then?
Oh, yeah, BET was a thing. But I feel like it was VH1 because here's the thing. Rick James had a beef with MTV. He told them that they weren't playing enough urban acts, not enough black acts, and that made MTV say, well, really? Okay, bye. And so they just kind of kicked him off. And
that was their argument, to take another black act off of MTV?
Yeah, because they figured...
They played Michael Jackson, and that was it.
And that was the point that Rick was making, was that unless you're Michael Jackson, you're not getting played. So he made this whole claim that seemed to be MTV might have had some racially biased motives, and that's why Rick wasn't played on the channel. I just remember he was very upset about it, and they never touched I don't believe they ever played our music.
You guys were also on the sexy side, and MTV was obviously video vixen-y, but not, I don't know, I thought you guys were a lot sexier than like the video, than Tawny Katane just doing some gymnastics on a Jaguar.
Oh my God, I love Tawny Katane. I thought she was the hottest, sexiest video girl ever.
For sure, but I just thought that I remember the Mary Jane girls being really, really sexy. Maybe that's my own thing. I've got some things to work out. So you're experiencing all of this stuff with the videos. What is that like?
It was so much fun, and we looked forward to, what was going to be the concept of In My House. We got the storyboard, and, we thought, we're going to be in Malibu at this house, this 3-story house, and, we just thought it was the coolest thing. So until we started filming, and the filming didn't start until the middle of the night, and it was the longest shoot ever, but what an experience.
Yeah.
We did a video for a movie called A Fine Mess with Howie Mandel. And the song for that was called Walk Like a Man. So we did a video for that with Howie Mandel, and that was fun. That was cute. Those moments are like sort of the perks of being in the group. So
let's go there. What was the best part and the worst part of being in the Mary Jane Girls?
Let's see. I have to say, being on all the shows that I grew up with, like American Bandstand, Soul Train, we thought it was really cool to be on Solid Gold. We did.
It is cool to be on Solid Gold.
It was so.
Why wouldn't it be?
It was so cool.
What era? Were you Adrian Zemed era, or were you Rex Smith era? Or
oh my God, that's a good question. I think we were Marilyn McCoo.
Oh, Denny Terrio.
Oh, and Denny Terrio. Remember that? Yeah. Good times. But all of those shows back then, I just thought, this is the coolest thing. I'm gonna have this forever in my archives. That I was a part of Bandstand history and Soul Train, and so that was a great part. Meeting people, I loved meeting people after the shows, and it was just really I was so grateful. I just couldn't believe it. I was like, they're so sweet. Everybody wants to get to know us, and so yeah, a lot of good memories.
What would be the downsides to being in the Mary Jane Girls?
That there was potential to have written this out a little bit longer. There was potential for an album. There was potential for us individually as members of the group to maybe write a song or co-write, or to show something more creatively, and we never got that chance.
We'll be back after these messages. Hey there, I'm Patrick Labyorteaux, and I've been an actor since I was a little kid, so I know what it's like to be a little kid actor. So I have a class here called Youth Weekly, and that meets every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific, and it is an awesome class if you are young and want to learn all about acting. We have a great set of kids, and it's taught on Zoom, so you can do it from anywhere. You can do it on your phone, you can do it on your laptop, on an iPad. It's awesome. I've had kids take a class while they were in the car coming back from soccer practice. I swear to you. So if acting is in your blood, come to workingactorschool.com and check out the Youth Weekly class every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific. I'll see you there. Act 3, present day. So you finish up with the Mary Jane Girls. You mentioned that you were on tour with the Jacksons. I would imagine there's some sort of connection with Janet. How's that? How did that all happen?
It's the weirdest thing. So my tenure, I guess you would call it, with the Jacksons didn't start until 2011, 2012, something like that. But it was...
Oh, wow.
That started around that time. And it was because my husband was thinking of managing them. And as he was thinking of managing them, we were having talks and this and that. He said, I'm going to put you guys on the road. This is after Michael had passed away. So my husband's idea was to put the brothers back together, get the agents to see what territory they could work in and where would they, and surprisingly, the agents were all over it. They were like, let's get them in Europe. Let's get them here. We've got this. And yeah, we had a good 3 years with them.
What has that got to be like because it's not like Michael drug the untalented members of the family around with him. The Jacksons are great, period.
Oh my God.
What is it like to be on stage in the midst of that? Because the thing I love about live music is your whole body feels it. What is it like being on stage singing these great songs?
Let me tell you, I am so grateful for that experience because I was with legends and learning from, some of this is American music royalty. So learning from Jackie, Marlon, Tito, Jermaine, it was brilliant. And every night I just couldn't believe it. I just thought, this is insane. And the fact that I was already now a married lady with two not grown kids, but teenage kids. I was taking my kids on the road and giving them the experience. It was, good times.
So what do you learn when you say you learn from these people? I mean, obviously they've been doing this since they were, Janet was 3 years old. They weren't that much older. What do you learn when you perform with someone that's done it their whole life?
There is an element of professionalism to someone that's been doing it all their life and also that have come through a different era. They're polished. Their commitment to rehearsals are, we were working 10-hour rehearsals, which I don't know too many people that do that now. They just kind of want to go in and get it over and done with and do a sound check and be out. We had 10, 11-hour days. Also, just
were they doing all the choreography?
Yes,
that we know for each of those songs.
Yes,
wow.
Yes, and doing it well, I may add. And just their level of professionalism is completely. You just don't see it today.
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm not going to ask you your favorite Jackson, but I will ask you your favorite song to perform.
Oh, I had such a good time with a song called Can You Feel It, which is such a thunderous.
It's a great song.
It's a great song. And it just made you feel it got the crowd really going. I love that one. We also had fun with a song called Dancing Machine, which is an old Jackson 5. That was a blast. That was so much fun. Yeah, it was. One
of my favorite songs on I think it was that same album is Can You Feel It was Heartbreak Hotel?
Yes.
Is it Heartbreak Hotel?
Yeah.
I love that song.
Oh, we did that one every night as well.
But still, these are people that you grew up with the Jacksons they had a cartoon. They're huge.
Right. They're huge.
What was it like to be on stage with someone that you probably listened to as a little girl?
Every night I was just in awe. And just the process of traveling with them, getting to know them. They're my friends, I still keep in touch with Marlon and Jackie. I'm in touch with all the time. I see them when I'm in Vegas or whenever we're all in the same city. Janet, I saw Janet in February. I went to her show in Vegas, said hi to her. It was like catching up with an old friend I hadn't seen in ages. And I think I told you, I mentioned you to Janet.
That's right. You did. You sent me a picture. But what did you say to her?
So she and I are catching up and everything. And I said to her, because she asked, have you been in touch with anyone? I said, yeah, as a matter of fact, I was in touch with Patrick. And she's like, no way. I said, yeah. And I said, as a matter of fact, let's take a photo right now. And we did that selfie that I sent you. And she asked how you were doing. She asked all about Matt. We talked about those days at Valley Professional just quickly. But
have you ever performed with Janet?
No, never. God, that would have been so fun. That would have been great.
Yeah.
But no, she's in a different league. She's in a completely different league. But yeah, I've seen a few of her shows over the years, and I'm so proud of her. She's another one that's just a pro and on another level.
Yeah. Now, of course, I didn't really hang out with her. Remember Rad Daly? Is our
Rad,
school?
I miss Rad. Yes, where is he? I miss him.
I haven't seen him. I would love to get in contact with him again because we used to hang out. But I keep saying you and Janet hang out. I don't know. Did you guys? Were you like hanging out friends, or was it just sort of like at school?
No, we did. It was so nice that Mrs. Jackson, so Catherine, would pick her up from school and give me a ride home at times. And then sometimes she'd take us to the movie theaters and drop us off, pick us up. She took us horseback riding.
I'm sorry, I have to picture this for everybody. What was so funny about when Janet would get picked up, when her mom would pick her up, it was, like I said, behind a deli and a tax place, and it was this tiny little, like, 3 parking spaces, and Catherine Jackson would pull up in this huge flying cloud Rolls Royce. But
right.
it was not
You're
like
right.
an ostentation. It was just like mom picking her up in the station wagon. It just happened to be a Rolls Royce.
I swear, you can't make this stuff up, can you? People wouldn't, yeah, thank God you're a witness to this, because people wouldn't believe it. It's just so funny. I was just going to say that the last few years have been so much fun because I started doing these random jam sessions and sort of pop-up shows in Switzerland with some of my all-time favorite studio musicians. Like, it just happened. It's crazy. So
what's the deal with Switzerland and you?
I know.
What's going on in Switzerland?
I know, right? So my dear friend is a guy, maybe you've heard of him. His name is Ray Parker Jr.
I don't know who to call, but I kind of think I know.
So Ray's a dear friend of mine, and he said to me, this was like 4 years ago, he said, you and Rick, come to Switzerland. We've got this like jam session we're going to do, and just come hang out. I'm thinking, what is this? So we get there, and it's Steve Lukather, and it's David Page from
Whoa.
Yeah, and it's Bobby Brown and Eric Benet and Howard Hewitt, all these great vocalists, and Shania Twain. And we get there, we all just sort of like, I don't know, we just sort of got along and everything worked, and there we were singing and doing these like impromptu jam sessions in Montreux, Switzerland during the Montreux Jazz Festival. Then a few months after that initial show, then we were asked to come back, and this time we were asked as like to do something more of a real show, and we did the structured with sound checks and the whole thing, rehearsals, and we did the Zurich Film Festival and all the events that included. And it's so funny because I don't even think we had a name. Like, there's like not an official band name. We just sort of would pop up unexpectedly. And the band is like, Greg Fellinganes is there.
Oh my God, these are like the best musicians in the world.
And as a person like me who happens to be a full-blown music geek, this is just like I couldn't believe it. I'm sitting there working with David Page, really, of Toto, and Lukather and Joe Williams, all of the Toto guys, and then I've got Nathan.
Well, for those who don't know, like the Toto guys, Steve Lukather, David Page, Porcaro, all of those guys were the musicians on all of Michael's music for
right.
Thriller and for Off the Wall, and they were doing Toto at the same time. And Joe Williams, his dad's a guy named John. Don't know what he does.
Yeah,
John Williams, and now he's the lead singer.
I mean, when I look back and I realize these people that I was like in shock. My little music geek heart was freaked out. Like, I get to sing with them.
So I've asked it about the Jacksons, but now I got to ask because, there's a beginning of, unfortunately, Porcaro's no longer alive. Steve
Right.
Porcaro, the great drummer, but he starts off Rosanna with like this Purdy shuffle thing where it's just like really
Yes.
tight groove, and all the band just grooves in on that. What is it? I'm stumbling. What? I guess I should ask. Is there a difference when you're playing with the highest quality studio musicians than just other people that play instruments? Do you feel a difference?
Personally, yes, I do. You can just tell the level of they're locked in a pocket differently. They just feel it, and they're also they'll take liberty at improvising maybe a little different. It's just, there's just a slight different feel. Again, I'll go back to my friend Steve Lukather because he said he's a road dog. He doesn't know life with normal. Like he's got to be on the road. There's some people that need it and they feed off of it. And the Stones, I guess. Yeah, the Stones. There's quite a few people that are still touring that they don't really need to tour.
No, I get it. I mean, Steve Lukather is actually the guy that did learn from the hard streets of Ventura. He was a Valley guy too. We'll be back after these messages. Hey, I'm Patrick Labyorteaux, and I play an actor on TV, and I've been doing this for a long time. And I know what it's like if you are in a class with people, and sometimes you just want to have that one-on-one connection with the person that you're working with to go over, I don't know, a particular scene, or maybe you have an audition, or maybe you just want the privacy to try stuff that you don't really know is going to work and not have anyone look at you. Well, I have the perfect solution for you. It's called One-on-One with Patrick Labyorteaux. You can book your time at workingactorsschool.com, and it's just me and you for an hour going over whatever it is you want to work on, breaking down the script, talking about character, figuring out your intention, the spine of the scene, everything that goes in to making a dynamite performance. So if you're interested in acting and want that one-on-one personal attention, check out One-on-One with Patrick Labyorteaux. You can find all the information you need at workingactorsschool.com. Act 4, questions. Okay, so we're into the questions here. I mean, I've been asking questions, but these are the structured questions for you, Yvette. The first one is called, first of all, my wife came up with these. It's called Tina's Gotta Know. Tina's my wife.
Tina's Gotta Know.
And the first, Tina's Gotta Know. The first one is That's Showbiz. What is the most Hollywood moment in your life?
Oh, I think it was getting out, in the 80s. Getting out of a limo, walking into the American Music Awards, and the Paps were there, and I'm walking down the little red step and repeat thing, and I think that felt very somehow Hollywood to me.
Somehow, that's like the perfect Hollywood moment. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was fun.
Okay, so number 2, That's Showbiz, part 2. What's the most embarrassing Hollywood moment in your life?
Oh my God, the most embarrassing Hollywood moment. I've had so many. I mean, just any given day, showing up thinking I'm going to sing one song and I have no idea and I'm just not with it that day, and important people, there are people that I need to impress, and it just, I've had too many.
Number 3, show me the money. What is your biggest missed financial opportunity? We don't need real numbers or anything, but we always have options in this business. And, sometimes, you're given, someone answered that they were offered Starbucks stock and they didn't think it would go anywhere.
Oh, you know what? That's a good one. Yeah. Oh my God. Missed financial opportunity. Oh, you know what? Probably Yeah, probably somewhere along on the lines of Apple stock and, something along that line of just, yeah. Tesla stock.
There you go, Tesla. That one exploded for sure. And probably,
Yeah.
not that I'm putting words in your mouth, but like the way, I'll just say it, the way shit goes down in music groups or like other people, like more albums for you guys. Like
Right.
it seems like you were a couple albums. I think you guys could have gone longer if it,
Yeah.
I think that's always,
Yeah, the thing is that I have to give Rick James credit for this. He said to me, now, you know what, you'll be in this group, but it's not going to last long because girl groups don't last long. There's always one in the group that's going to get a bigger ego and think she's running the show. He said, so think of this as getting experience, getting a little exposure, and testing the waters to see if you want to be in this business. And so he was right. I only did one album, and he was right. It was over right away.
Okay, show and tell. As a teenager, what is your favorite poster that you had in your room, and how'd you get it?
Oh, I was a Charlie's Angels freakazoid. I had everything Charlie's Angels. I wanted to be in the police academy. I wanted to be a policewoman. So yeah, anything and all Charlie's Angels.
Which was your favorite angel?
Well, everyone loved, of course, Farrah. We all loved Farrah, but
Right.
I like Jacqueline Smith. Kelly Garrett. That was her character name, Kelly Garrett.
I kind of pegged you as a Kelly Garrett, elegant, suave. She was the smart one.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Okay.
yeah. She was the smart one. You're right. She was more of the smarter. But get this. This is really funny. Talk about timing. I was at the LA Police Academy on Sunday, and I did a ride on a horse, a mounted ride with the LAPD mounted unit. So you see, my Charlie's Angels moment.
Oh, look at that.
Is coming true.
That's so cool because they shot. Is that the one like right below Dodger Stadium, right where that?
Yeah, I
area
think
is,
it's.
or is it-
I think it's called Elysian Park.
Yeah. There, that's where they shot the whole thing for the opening of Charlie's Angels and everything.
Exactly.
So yeah,
So-
you lived it.
I did this thing where I ran down the steps and came out like I was really doing something. It was like a moment. Yeah, I did that. In fact, it's on my Instagram. I've got a picture doing this.
That's awesome. Okay, number 5, showdown. What is the biggest thing you ever did, or the best thing, I should say? What's the best thing you ever did and the worst thing you ever did? I'm not talking about kids, because obviously kids are great, but I'm talking like professionally. What's the thing you're most proud of, and the thing you're like, ew?
Well, there's a lot of ughs. I would say the last few years. Well, okay, the whole Jackson's experience, that is probably the best of the best. Because I worked, like I said, I worked with them, which is royalty, but I got to see the world in a way that most people don't get to see the world. So, I mean, there's
Right.
just, when you're working with a group of that magnitude, you get special treatment. You're doing things differently.
This is a question for actors, but I guess it works for as well. It's called No Show. Number 6, what part did you want but didn't get? So I guess what gig or what kind of thing did you go out for, music or otherwise, that you wanted but didn't get?
Oh, I think the shoes were already filled, but I would have liked to have toured with Steely Dan. I know that sounds crazy, but I'm a serious Steely Dan fanatic, and those parts,
Yep.
those singers are another level. They great tones.
Everyone,
good harmonies.
everything in Steely Dan is crazy good.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah, that would have been. Yeah.
It's just amazing. Okay, so favorite show. What movie has most influenced you? But I'm going to change it for what album would you say would be the one that most influenced you, or artist, maybe either one?
Oh, well, we were just talking about Steely Dan. I have to say that Asia album for me is like, I still listen to it and go through it like, wow, how do they come up with that? And it's just, yeah, that one is incredible. Anything Stevie Wonder, there's a few Stevie Wonder records that I just think you can't compare.
Yeah.
Sonically, like sonically you hear things and you just go, wow, this is where they were technology-wise back then, and you realize they're doing things that were just really so new and innovative.
Oh, for sure. Show me again, what's your favorite movie you rewatch the most? But again, I'll just stick with the music. Is it Pet Sounds, or what's the one you listen to, or Asia? What do you go back to all the time?
Yeah, I've got Asia on. Anything Donald Fagen, Steely Dan, I listen to constantly. Yeah, I have to say that's my weakness. I'm a yacht rock girl, Anytime you come over to my place, there's yacht rock going on.
Well, you played with all of them.
Yeah, you know what? You're right.
Do you ever see that sketch that they did? They talked about it, especially now the Yacht Rock documentary, which I really enjoyed. But they talk about Michael McDonald, who was a big part of that sound of Rick from SCTV running around singing.
He was running back and forth from session to session.
Rick Moranis playing Michael McDonald, doing all of that.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
And then, finally, number 9, show me some love. What's your favorite performance of mine?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so of course, anything and everything, Little House, right? Everything. I mean,
cool.
So sweet. When I see that, I'm just like, oh my gosh. But I don't know if many people know that you were in Auntie Mame. Wasn't it you?
I was. Did you know? How do you know that?
I saw it not that long ago, and I looked, and I knew it was you. I was like, who is that? And then I had to do some diving. This is about a month ago, maybe 2 months ago. It's you, and you look the same. Yeah. But those eyes, I know those eyes anywhere. But so that to me was really a sweet thing to see that. And then, of course, I just happened to be channel surfing, and there you are, Jag, and I'm thinking, I'm like, look at Patrick. My buddy Patrick is doing big things.
Well, Yvette, I can't thank you enough for doing this. I'm so glad. I think we reconnected on Instagram, so shout out to Instagram.
Absolutely.
But this was so much fun to talk to somebody that went to school at the same school, which was
blast being able to see you and go down memory lane.
It's the Patrick Labyorteaux, Patrick Labyorteaux. He's the one you gotta know.
Hey everybody, I'm so glad that you're enjoying the podcast and checking it out. It is an audio podcast wherever you get your audio podcast, and it's a video podcast over on YouTube. My socials are all patrick.labyorteaux. And that is on Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok. I'm everywhere. If you want information on the school, you can go to workingactorsschool.com. We have classes going all the time. It's a lot of fun. I suggest you check it out. Hey, we'll see you next time.
It's the Patrick Labyorteaux, Patrick Labyorteaux. He's the one you gotta know.